There's an invisible language used in advertising all the time that's designed to get you to not just take attention, but to take action. In the last 70 to 80 years, it's been the single most effective way to not only present a product or a service to a customer, but to tie that product or service to that customer's needs and desires. I would go so far as to say that if you're not using this formula in some way, shape, or form, you're probably not posting on social media or doing any advertising very effectively. There is power in the story, not just the product at the end of it. And while my newsletters are often self-indulgent walks through the mistakes and the stuff-ups I've had in life, this is something that I will do almost every time when it comes to work with someone else's business. For one reason, it works. So we're going to explore two variations of this absolutely powerful formula through some examples of where I've used it to great effect. And you won't even need to get a marketing degree to understand it, I promise. Before I get into the formula, you're going to need some context because knowing why something works is just as important as knowing that it works at all. Imagine that your friend forgot their umbrella on a stormy day. You first point out the dark clouds looming overhead, then you describe the nightmare of arriving at work soaked and shivering cold, but wait, you then remind them of the spare umbrella you stashed in your bag just last week. Their face lights up and you get to be the hero of the rainy day. This is a common and pretty boring set of circumstances. It could probably just be simply dismissed as friend forgot umbrella, but I had a spare for them. Instead, it's a story involving storms and risk and a hero saving the day. And it's just so much more interesting when it's told as a story. By highlighting a problem, stirring up emotions around, and then swooping in at the end with a solution, you create this compelling narrative that grabs attention and sticks in people's minds. It's like making a mini drama out of everyday annoyances, but with a guaranteed happy ending. There is a mother of all writing formulas for social media posts and ads. Once you know this formula, you're going to see it absolutely everywhere. It works because rather than simply stating your solution, you're confirming with your customer that you know what their problem is before they've even told you what it is. So let's say you're a diesel mechanic, right? Chances are you'd normally start off with your ad or social post as, at XYZ Diesel Services, we're the one-stop shop for everything to do with diesel engines. And then you'd probably list off all the things you do, right? Wrong. This approach just makes you sound like every other ad that no one else ever notices because nothing you've said has anything to do with anyone that doesn't need a diesel mechanic right now at this exact moment. Rather, with the way that people's attention works, you need to start with relevance. And that means introducing a scenario that they can see themselves in, not right now, but at some point in the future. When your engine stops, it's annoying, it's frustrating, and you don't have the time or patience to deal with it. Now, anyone who drives a diesel four-wheel drive, runs a diesel generator, or has a diesel motor that runs anything around their farm, their shed, or their factory is immediately able to relate to this. So let's continue. And to make things worse, every hour that your engine is down, you're losing money. And lots of it. Because you can't drive, you can't work. And if you can't work, you can't get paid. Now you've gone from getting their attention to some serious insight into a fear that every single one of these people with diesel engines will have. Now we'll bring it home. A full preventative service costs less than $500, takes no more than 2 hours, and can mean the difference between a couple of hours break and a week of breakdown, costing you tens of thousands of dollars. So it makes sense to book in now rather than when it's too late. See, we've gone from tired old cliches to a gut punch that a diesel engine owner can't ignore if they tried. This formula is called PAS, which stands for Problem, Agitate, Solution. And it's been driving advertising and copywriting since the very beginnings of radio and TV. So let's take this whole concept a little bit further. To learn more about PAS and a bunch of other ways to do better writing for your website, your videos, and your podcast, or your social posts, grab my free 5-part mini course on writing better content. It's free and the link is in the caption below. So let's turbocharge this formula a bit more. I mentioned earlier that I had two variations of this, so let's take a look at the second version, which is very much like a souped up, super turbocharged upgrade to PAS. We'll use our diesel mechanic again for reference. Let's start off with the problem again. When your engine stops, it's annoying, it's frustrating, and you don't have the time or patience to deal with it. And then we'll continue with our agitation. And to make things worse, every hour that your engine is down, you're losing money, and lots of it, because if you can't drive, you can't work. And if you can't work, you can't get paid. But rather than hitting the solution now as we normally would with PAS, we're going to continue to paint the picture by making the customer curious with a little bit of intrigue. If there was a way to prevent this from happening, you'd do just about anything to make sure it happened, wouldn't you? Now, we help them to imagine what a positive future could look like for them. There is, and it's so simple that you'll slap yourself for not seeing it before now. Better still, it means the money keeps coming and the annoyance of engine downtime just doesn't happen. And now we finally bring it home. A full preventative service costs less than $500, takes no more than 2 hours, and can mean the difference between a couple of hours break and weeks of downtime, costing you tens of thousands of dollars. So it makes sense to book in now rather than when it's too late. Wow, what a difference a little intrigue and positive visioning can make. We call this variation PAIPS, or PAPES. It means problem, agitate, intrigue, positive future, and solution. 5 steps instead of just the 3. Now, if you're skeptical about whether this works, just try it out for yourself. It's a formula used in the social media posts of all these big names like Justin Welsh and Marie Formello, Alex Hormozi, Sonny Lenarduzzi, Jesse Van Brugel, and tons of others as well. It's not just me or even them that's claiming that it works. It's pretty much every advertising agency known to history, and it's every insurance company and bank and large corporate that wants to connect with their customers beyond simply screaming a list of products and services at them. When we start with relevance to our customer, we get attention. When we show them just how bad things can get with the problem they have, it drives urgency. When we add intrigue, they get curious. When we go even further and paint a picture of a better tomorrow, they start to dream of that better tomorrow. So when we drop our solution into the conversation, it's already relevant, intriguing, and associated with a positive future and outcome. It's not really hard to see why it works. And this is how the game of content writing is played. It's fun. It's interesting. It's not about lying or exaggerating or going beyond what the truth is. It's about connecting. And if you learn the game, the rewards are massive. I'm Dante St. James.